You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, guys, there was a time when ESPN was a huge part of my life. Now, when I was a kid, SportsCenter was a huge thing. Keith Olbermann, before he actually lost his mind, I mean, that man is deranged now. And Dan Patrick, boy, they were at the hierarchy of ESPN. We're talking about early 1990s. I would actually get up, get ready to go to school, and ESPN SportsCenter would be on. It was huge. Now, today, not so much, and you guys know the reason why. Wolt Center had taken over ESPN. ESPN became super duper political. And I don't believe they're ever going to see the heights that they actually used to have. I don't. Maybe they will one day. This is going to take a whole lot of work. Now, one good thing they actually have going for them is that Jemele Hill is no longer there. She was probably the most wokest person in the media, in the sports media, race baiting all the time. She actually had a SportsCenter show at 6 that didn't even focus on sports. It was all political, man. I believe, folks, that the election of Donald Trump in 2016 really made some of these woke lunatics just completely lose their minds. I mean, look at Keith Olbermann right now. Keith Olbermann is deranged. I mean, this man was so great on SportsCenter. I can't believe that this is the same guy. If I went back 30 years and looked at Keith Olbermann, I would say, wait a minute, that used to be Keith Olbermann right there? He focused on his job, and he was great at his job on ESPN. He was great on SportsCenter. Now he's just completely lost his mind. However, under the old regime of ESPN, it got really, really bad over there. Really, really bad. It was politics first, sports second. They actually haven't really gotten rid of that whatsoever. Even Wolt Center, ESPN, doing, I believe it was a women's basketball game, if I'm not mistaken. They were actually talking about the Florida's Parental Rights and Education Bill, the anti-grooming bill. They were against that. They were actually talking about that during a basketball game. That was just recently. That's why I said the wokeness is not completely out over there at ESPN. Now, of course, the parent company is the Walt Disney Company, a.k.a. the Walt Disney Company, and they've lost their minds too. They're losing money, and there's a rumor out there that they may end up actually dropping ESPN. Now, ESPN has been losing money for Disney for so long. I'm shocked that they still are actually holding on to ESPN. Maybe they actually have a problem actually finding somebody that actually wants to own the company, along with ABC. I used to watch First Take. And actually the predecessor, me and Rose are actually talking about this yesterday on a live stream. The predecessor to First Take was Cold Pizza. Lots of sports stuff and a few other things, but it was not politics. They never got into it. Woody Page and Skip Bayless, when they were on, they talked about sports, and it was great. George Floyd happened, then everything just fell apart. I remember a day or so, I believe like the next day after the George Floyd video actually came out, all of the sports shows were talking about George Floyd. Nothing to do with sports. Nothing. And of course, you know, they were glorifying criminals because, let's be real, a lot of those people over there at ESPN, and you know what, Fox Sports, they are leftists. They are. Well, one person at ESPN has come out and kind of addressed all of this stuff now. That'll be one Stephen A. Smith. He actually has a podcast, No Mercy. I actually believe I actually played a clip one time on a video that I was actually doing, and it was about him. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he has come out and he has commented on the politics at ESPN. And he has even come out and said it's a little bit too much. Now, Stephen A. Smith, it seems like he likes to play both sides, you know, depending on the audience. This man will go on Fox News and he loves Sean Hannity. He loved Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity and Stephen A. Smith, pretty good friends. He will pander to the right on one show, but also he'll pander to the left on another show. He won't take a stand. Now, I believe behind closed doors that Stephen A. Smith is a little bit more right wing than what he would actually lead you to believe, because this man actually told black people to go out there and vote Republican. Now, this is years ago. I remember that. That was on Fox News, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Fox News. He actually told black people to go out there and vote Republican. Do you guys know what would happen to Stephen A. Smith if he actually said that right now? He would be canceled. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. On Outkick, Stephen A. Smith, we did get to a point over the years at ESPN where it was too much politics. I can make a case that you guys are still kind of going into politics a little bit too much, but the politics turn me off and I don't watch ESPN. So if they change the game a little bit, I don't know. They lost me. Okay. It says here, Stephen A. Smith is one of the biggest personalities in sports media and has become the highest paid employee at ESPN, making a whopping $12 million per year. Some people hate him, others love him, but there's no denying he's always polarizing. Smith recently joined Pat McAfee's podcast to promote his No Mercy podcast, which is completely owned by him and not affiliated with ESPN in any way. Now, Skip Bayless has his own podcast too. I actually tried to play a clip from his podcast one day, got copyrighted by Fox. So I guess he doesn't own his own podcast either, but I digress. The First Take host says having his own platform allows him to discuss issues outside of sports and even politics, but noted that ESPN should be reserved for fans who are coming to the network for coverage and analysis of their favorite teams. Now, I will say this about Stephen A. Smith, even on First Take, and we know this for a fact, he's always talking about black people, black men, so he's always talking about social issue stuff over there too, you know? So he's talking politics over there as well. Anyone who has tuned into the worldwide leader over the last decade noticed a significant shift where it felt like almost every host felt a need to interject their opinion on politics. Eventually, ratings began to drop and fans flocked to other networks for their sports coverage. Right on the money. Smith said Jimmy Pitaro, who took over as ESPN president in 2018, made a concerted effort to make the focal point sports again. And he did. And they were on the right track until George Floyd. And then the bottom fell out. The bottom fell out and they really have not recovered since. But anyway, quote, when Jimmy Pitaro came on board, he made a concerted effort for us not to get into politics, Smith said. I stood up and supported him for that, and I still do because we did get to a point over the years at ESPN where it was too much politics. It was the politicization of too many different things, and the sports fan got to a point where they were sending a message that they didn't feel like their needs were being met. Well, if that's the case, why is ESPN still woke? Like I just said, you guys went after Florida for their anti-grooming bill, the parental rights and education bill. ESPN did that on the air. They did that. So they're still doing it over there at Woke Center. They're still Woke Center. Jimmy Pitaro got him on track. But then George Floyd happened and they just bottomed out. Smith believes it's important to give the sports fan what they're tuning into ESPN for, but he also supports employees having the freedom to speak about politics and social issues on other outlets. I don't have a problem with that either. But when they're actually there to cover sports, nothing else. But anyways, it goes on from here. While it's clear ESPN hasn't fully backed off political takes, it's refreshing to hear their top personality acknowledge their woke approach, because everyone in America notice, and many will never tune into the network ever again. Still, it's refreshing to hear Stephen A. Smith and Knowledge to Obvious. Now, the only thing that I tune in on ESPN for really is because they have football, Monday Night Football, and of course we have a sports channel here, so we have to cover that. But they're opinion shows because it's all opinions and they dive into politics. I don't watch any of that. I don't. Now, for content, I can actually go to other outlets and find the news source for it, check it out, and then make a video on that. But I'm not tuning in to ESPN's shows for entertainment. I'm just not. I'm out on that. I don't even watch Skip and Shannon anymore. I mean, because Shannon Sharp, all-time great tight end. But Shannon Sharp and his politics have definitely been interjected over there on the show. I was actually watching them when the whole George Floyd thing happened, and Shannon just went off the rails. Off the rails. Of course, he has TDS too. There's no cure for TDS. But it's bad. It's still bad over there. But Stephen A. Smith has acknowledged that the politics just don't work for people. Why aren't they trying to reverse course now? I have no idea. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.